In the beginning, there was light and void. The light spread across the universe as an ever-changing, boundless prismatic sea of life. But as it did so, some of its energies dimmed, leaving behind pockets of cold nothingness. In these pockets, a new power formed, the void. Dark and vampiric in nature, the void was driven to devour everything, to twist creation inwards and feed upon itself. It quickly grew and began to move against the flowing waves of light. Finally, the forces between the two became too great. Explosions unimaginable in scale tore through the very fabric of reality and brought a new realm to be. In that moment, the physical universe was born. The energies released by light and void raged across the cosmos, matter coalescing into innumerable primordial worlds. For epochs, this universe seethed in a maelstrom of fire and magic. This is the great dark beyond. Alongside this new realm, another formed from the most unstable energies, an astral realm where light and void collided and bled together, raging an internal war and keeping it in chaos. This is the Twisting Nether. Although separate from each other, the Twisting Nether's volatile energies would occasionally tear through into the Great Dark, warping reality as they flowed through. At the birth of creation, shards of light were flung throughout reality, suffusing the matter of myriad worlds and sparking new life to grow, creating creatures of wondrous and terrible diversity. Elementals were the most common beings to appear, primordial creatures of fire, water, earth and air. They could be found on nearly every world and most revelled in the turmoil of the early universe. In some places, clouds of fractured light formed, giving birth to beings of far greater power, far greater potential than the elementals, beings such as the Naru, benevolent creatures composed of holy energies who saw limitless possibility, spreading hope and nurturing life wherever they could find it. The most exceptional beings, however, were the Titans. Their spirits, known as world souls, formed deep within the molten cores of a small number of worlds. For ages they slumbered, their energies suffusing the celestial bodies they inhabited. When they woke, they did so as living worlds. Cosmic winds howled across their gigantic forms, bodies shrouded in cloaks of stardust, skin crisscrossed with silvery mountain peaks and oceans shimmering with latent magic. With eyes that shone like brilliant stars, they observed the fledgling cosmos and became enraptured by its mysteries. They set out wandering in the distant corners of the Great Dark, searching for others of their kind. Legend tells us that the first Titan to wake was named Amanthul, but when or why he woke remains a mystery. Though he was alone, he knew in his heart that others of his kind must exist, and so he set out to explore the Great Dark beyond in search of more Titans. His quest was arduous and lonely, but it ultimately proved fulfilling. In time, he discovered other nascent world souls, and lovingly nurtured his kin, rousing them from their slumber, each of the woken Titans joining him in his search. Together, these Titans formed the Pantheon. Amanthul, High Father of the Pantheon, Sargeras, Defender of the Pantheon, Agrimar, Lieutenant of the Great Sargeras, Eonar, the Lifebinder, Khaz'goroth, Shaper and Forger of the Worlds, Norganon, Keeper of Celestial Magics and Lore, and Golganeth, Lord of the Skies and Roaring Oceans. Over time, the Pantheon came to realize that order was crucial to finding others of their kind. When they encountered new world souls, they employed techniques to ascertain whether a world soul was present. They would first pacify the world's raging elemental populations, and then reshape the world, forming great mountains, fathomless seas and roiling skies. Finally, they would seed myriad life forms across the newly ordered world. In doing so, they hoped to call forth the world soul and bring it to maturity. Most of the time, however, the worlds proved inert. The Pantheon vowed to protect and maintain all of these worlds, even those that did not contain a world soul. To do so, they empowered primitive life forms to uphold the integrity of their ordered worlds. The Pantheon also embedded colossal machines into the surfaces of the worlds that they had shaped. Through these devices, the Titans could monitor their worlds and purge them of all life should their evolutionary paths succumb to disorder. Finally, to aid the Pantheon, Amanthul called upon a mysterious race known as the Constellar. These celestial beings observed many worlds ordered by the Titans, staying vigilant for any sign of instability. When it was necessary, the Constellar could initiate a failsafe procedure to scour all life from a world, resetting its evolutionary process. As the ages passed, the Pantheon discovered fewer and fewer world souls, yet they remained undaunted. They knew that the universe was vast beyond measure, and even after epochs of exploring the stars, they had only plumbed but a small corner of creation. However, unbeknown to the Titans, malign forces were also on their own quest. From the moment the cosmos came to be, dark spirits within the void sought to twist reality into a realm of eternal torment. These are the Void Lords. They had long watched the Pantheon and became envious of their power, so they sought to corrupt one of the world souls into an instrument of their will. To achieve this goal, the Void Lords struggled to manifest in the physical universe. As they did so, their energy seeped into reality, warping some of the denizens of creation. However, the Titans proved immune to this corruption, and so the Void Lords sought to influence a Titan in its most vulnerable state, before it had awakened. Like the Pantheon, the Void Lords did not know which worlds contained world souls. They pooled their power and hurled dark creatures throughout the physical universe, hoping that some would smash into a world soul. An untold number of the Void Lords' creations hurtled throughout the Great Dark. They contaminated mortal worlds and everything else they touched in the blind search for a nascent titan. In time, these beings would become known as the Old Gods. Although the Pantheon knew of void energies, they had no knowledge of the Void Lords or the Old Gods. Their attention was turned to another, more immediate threat: demons. Born from the twisting nether, these ferocious beings, fueled by unbridled hate and malice, hungered for nothing less than the destruction of all life in the universe. Just as in the great dark beyond, life had also arisen in the twisting nether. They had formed as the result of light and void energies bleeding together at the borders of the twisting nether. They embraced their furious passions and revelled in pushing the boundaries of their power regardless of consequence. Many of these creatures indulged in the highly volatile energies that pervade the nether. Some learned to wield the all-consuming powers of fell magic, and before long they had learned to claw their way into the physical universe, terrorizing mortal civilizations and bringing ruin to a vast number of worlds. They came in many forms. Some, like the two-headed void hounds, roamed the wastes of the nether like ravenous beasts. Others, such as the monstrous abyssals and infernals, were mindless amalgamations of matter and fell energy created by more powerful and intelligent demons. Among these greater demons were the Natharim, otherwise known as Dreadlords. Cunning and manipulative, these dedicated their existence to mastering the arts of shadow magic. They relished infiltrating mortal civilizations, sowing unrest and turning nation against nation. As these societies devolved and crumbled from within, the Natharim would corrupt their populations, twisting innocence into new and horrific breeds of demon. The mighty Anilian, or Pit Lords, took more of a direct approach to conquering the worlds. These monstrous butchers existed only to brutalize and torture the mortals who crossed their path. They would often enslave lesser demons that stalked the nether, using them as fodder to besiege the mortal civilizations of the great dark beyond. When the Pantheon learned of the demonic incursions that flared at the far corners of creation, they dispatched the greatest warrior, the great Sargeras, to meet the threat, fearing it would interfere with their quest to find and awaken other world souls. Without hesitation, the great-hearted Titan set out and pledged he would not rest until he had cleansed the universe of all demonic influence. Hey guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. It's the first in a new series of the lore of World of Warcraft, alongside which I will be releasing discussion videos on the lore itself and points within the lore that I find interesting and think warrant further discussion or at least a closer look at. I will also be having a look at the class history, race history, and place history, if you like, from within Warcraft, and possibly doing some starting to play guides on the different classes and how I think you can use them most effectively. I have an alpha video coming out soon. I'll not name the game yet, but it looks rather interesting, I think. Completely different to World of Warcraft, but it's still good. I have some replay videos coming out from World of Warships, and hopefully I'll be getting a lot more content out a lot more regularly from now on. So thank you once again for watching. Like, share and subscribe if you wouldn't mind, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.